Hignet's corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises. It just had to be. Dax corner and it goes. Glance towards goal, and Rovers have taken the lead. And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the championship.
Good evening, Rovers fans, and welcome to the post-match stream. We're going to start things slightly differently before we move into things this evening. So, Luke, I'm going to hand over to you if I can, please.
Yeah, just to start off, please, from myself and from the team at Rovers Chat, I just want to send my condolences, really, to the family and friends of Ronnie Hill, who sadly passed away earlier this week. Big member of the Allwood Blues. And a massive member of the Rovers family. He'd have been chuffed to bits, I think, with that result today. And to yourself, Joe, as well. If none of you have read the piece that Joe wrote earlier this week, really will resonate with a lot of people. It's really quite relevant, and massive credit to Joe with that. And Rovers family, we pull together, don't we? So just wanted to put that in there.
Thanks for that, Luke. And that was a piece written by Joe on mental health in football, and particularly losing people associated with football as well. So please do check that out. We will retweet it again if we need to. So now is a good time, I think, just to bring in our sponsors, 6yardsout.com.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.
Thank you to the guys at 6yardsout.com. So I'm going to start the show just by reading some names. Thomas Kaminsky, Ryan Nyambi, Barry Douglas, Tom Tribal, Bradley Johnson, Joe Rothwell, Sam Gallagher, Adam Armstrong, Harvey Elliott, Daniel Ayala, John Buckley, Amari Bell, Tyrese Dolan, and Jacob Davenport. To a man, all of those today have contributed to a fantastic result. A lot of us predicted 2-2. We didn't predict 2-2 in those circumstances. And for me, forget the 3-0s, 4-0s, 5-0s. That there is performance of the season, proudest performance of the season, the way we've dug in and we've left that open. So Rovers fans, please do let us know how you're feeling after that. What a strange game. We'll get under the skin of it. We will see where it went wrong, where it went right, the talking points of the game, of course. We will unpick all of that, but let us know how you're feeling. But certainly I know the four of us feeling mightily proud of Rovers after that result today. So we are all buzzing. If you're not following us on Twitter, please do follow us, Rovers_chat, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all of our content. It's Rovers Chat, and we're doing the 12 days of Rovers Chat, which continues now, of course. So, Joe, I'm going to come to you first, if I can, just to summarise your thoughts on the game. I've just given my little monologue. How are you feeling?
Knackered. I feel like getting in bed and sleeping for a bit. That was just tiring, wasn't it? It was such a tough, long half, and then obviously all that emotion at the end. I feel absolutely drained, and I can only imagine how the players feel as well. So much running. So, yeah, they massively earned that point. I won't say deserved, but they earned that point out of the game there, and great to see, 100%.
And I think earned is the key word. If I look at a comment here from Stephen Mason, we got out of jail. Yeah, we did a little bit. If we're losing that game 2-1, Stephen, we're all feeling a bit different, aren't we? But I think after Lenihan's red card, the way that a lot of those players have dug in and really, battled for the shirt and battled for each other, we'll pick out individuals as we go through the show. But earned is the right word, Joe. Absolutely. Jacob, how are you feeling, mate?
I'm absolutely elated. I was very pessimistic at that starting lineup on the pre-match, and Oh God, this is definitely, in my opinion, the best result we've had this season. Forget the 5-0s and the 4-0s. Being 10 men against Brentford for more than 45 minutes, clinging on for dear life, and then somehow getting a last-minute winner. Well, not winner. It feels like a winner. It feels like a winner, but
Watch a different game.
No, honestly, it had me up, and I've shouted the house down. I don't think my housemate's too happy with me, but no, honestly, I'm absolutely buzzing, and oh God, that is a real teller. To get a point against Brentford today, against 10 men, one of the best sides in this league, there's no doubt about that. And away from home, he had the fans as well. I mean, what a game, and that really has filled me confidence that we can go for the top 6 this year. And anyone who doesn't think we can now, I just ask why.
Yeah, there's a few comments that I can see coming in. Maybe that Mowbray abandoned the game, and maybe we've got out of jail. But Luke, let's put some things into context. John Buckley at right back, Ayala and Nyambe at centre backs. First time they're playing together this season. Nyambe at the first time at centre back this season, although we can play there obviously. And then Amari Bell left back. After coming on for Barry Douglas. So to do it with that back four, you've got to be happy with the way that we've got the result there, haven't you?
Absolutely. To be honest, I feel quite emotional about that performance and that result. We all sit here and we love Blackburn Rovers Football Club, and we wear the shirts and we take everything. We bleed Blackburn. Every result, it hurts if it's not the right result. We're up on our feet if it is, and it's a roller coaster for us Blackburn Rovers fans. In that second half, that 11, the subs, every man on that pitch dug in for a result, for that shirt. When everything were going wrong, the injuries, it's happening game after game after game, and the boys can't do much about that. The red card, when I actually think Lenihan was having a pretty good game. We started that game so well. We were really on the front foot, playing some great football. Took it to Brentford. It looked a nervous side in front of the fans for the first time this season. And then it sort of all went wrong, and you're thinking, right, we're going to capitulate here and it's all going to go to pot. As a Blackburn Rovers fan, it's what we're used to. And that just didn't happen in that second half. Every man put his body on the line, fought for the shirt, fought for the draw. And to be honest, I'm really proud of that Blackburn Rovers team today. I really, really am.
And just to dip into the comments from people, Jacob, I'm going to go right up to the top. So, very Faru, I will take the point. What a mess of a day. Dan Woods, I'll second that. Started off so well too. Alexander Haben, relieved with the draw and the point. Without the sending off and penalty, we could easily be talking about a Rovers victory. Chris Hayes, we've won 5-0, 4-0, 3-0. But for me, today is the performance that says we're real playoff contenders. Tony's tactics were spot on. Then Ovez 2006, great effort from the boys. And I agree, tactics and substitutions in the second half were spot on. Dan Ainsworth, Silent Dan, up the Blues. That fighter mentality will take Rovers close to where they want to be come May. Leap year man, cracking result in the circumstances. Proud of the lads today. Ryan Rich, I'm tired after watching that game. And then a little bit further down, Jacob, Ryan Lambert, nervous wreck, beer fridge is empty, send help. Yes, please do send help. That's how I feel. Luke's guys.
I said I'd have a drink if we won, but it feels like a win, that. So I'm going for it.
It does. So we're going to start picking out some players, and this is probably going to be a really odd one for us to dissect. I think there's 3 real distinct thirds to this game, just with the way that it was. We had up until Lenihan's red card, where I thought Rovers looked pretty impressive. We then had that middle third between the 2 goals, between Tony's goal and Canos's goal, where you're like, how many is this going to be? It's only a matter of time. And then I think there's that period after the Canos goal where Brentford, I do think, played into our hands a little bit, but credit to Rovers for hanging on in there and allowing the opportunity. So the 3 of you, when giving your thoughts about the players, if you just want to fit it into one of those 3 thirds, that would be good. So Joe, just starting with you, who stood out for you today and who do you think played well?
Well, Joe Rothwell's the obvious one, isn't he? If you forget about the red card and if that game had just played out like a normal fixture, Joe Rothwell would have won us the game. What an incredible first half he had. Just the way gliding past people, and I can't put it into words. Everyone saw it. It was just incredible, and for him to finally put the ball in the net as well, and actually score, it's just really impressive. So Rothwell's the one I'd pick out, really. I mean, obviously Davenport scored that winner, but right
Winner.
time did well. But player of the match for me.
Second one to go.
Definitely Joe. Did I say winner again then?
He did,
Yeah.
Joe.
Did I? Right.
Feels like it. It really
It
feels
does feel like a winner. I
Really
think
does.
that shows you, doesn't it? I mean, there's been quite a few comments saying that the ref has cost us a couple of points there, but I don't agree. I think, yes, Tony went down quite easily, but Lenihan shouldn't have done what he did. I mean, when we played Coventry away and Brereton went down under that push, it's a red card at the end of the day. You can't put your hands up. So, I guess he was a little bit petty throughout, but I don't think the ref has cost us points today. I think Brentford were the masters of their own downfall, really. So that's my first half pick, Joe Rothwell. And I think we've probably got to nod again. I know I always talk about him, but Harvey Elliott was kind of second half. He played striker for most of this game, and he was the only one really finding out ball to Gallagher in that kind of middle section that you were talking about, Ryan, where we were just kind of lumping it back upfield and waiting to defend again. And then I think at the end of everyone that came on, I think Tyrese Dolan probably got his foot on the ball more than anybody else, and kind of provided what Rothwell had provided in the first half. So Joe Rothwell for the start, Harvey Elliott for the middle, and Tyrese Dolan for the end for me.
And Rovers fans, let us know who you're picking out in one of those three thirds that I said. Let us know who stood out for you. A lot of love for Joe Rothwell. Joe, leap year man. Rothwell's goal was poetry. First half for him was everything we know he's capable of more. Please. Dan Woods, we had the good Rothwell. Andy Watson. Oh, the comments just did. There we go. There's not a player in the Championship like Joe Rothwell. Contract. Yeah, we need the contract. And yeah, Ollie James, feels like a win today. And Ryan, the flag is up, kind of. It is up. It's pegged up to a couple of cardboard boxes on that shelf behind me. So I think it's up there. So Jacob, moving on to you then. Just a player that's played well for you or any of those thirds. Let us know your thoughts.
I have to pick out Daniel Ayala today. Every single performance we've seen from him this season, he's looked below average in my opinion, and he's come on today obviously at very short notice, and in my eyes he's given an 8 or a 9 out of 10 quite easily. He was playing on the left hand side of that defence, and he was paired with Douglas for a bit and then paired with Bell, and then having to play with Nyambe as well. And as it's already been pointed out, they'd never played together, Nyambe and Ayala. And for a right footer in that position, just brilliant. And what I loved to see was the fact that our captain's gone off, obviously Darragh Lenihan, and the amount of commanding and the amount of times you could just see Ayala commanding the players where to stand. There was a corner in particular, he literally grabbed Amari Bell and put him into a position and stuff like that. You just love to see it. And he's only been at the club for a few months, and he's there leading from the back, and just brilliant. I love to see that, and you can tell the passion, and it just basic defending whenever it was coming to him, just hoofing it out, getting us giving the boys a rest, because obviously we needed the rest, being 10 men, and just buying us time. And he was brilliant today, and he needed to take this chance because Wharton, no doubt, was playing better than him. And obviously Wharton's got injured now, and he's took his chance when he's come on today. And that's really changed the way I look at Ayala today after today's game, because he was nothing short of brilliant in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I loved how he came on and did that organising. And I tell you, I'm going to make an interesting observation here. We've spoken on this show a few times about Ayala and Lenihan together, and he's played like that without Lenihan on the pitch. And is that a coincidence, or just Rovers fans? What do you think? Has Ayala played well without Lenihan? Is it Lenihan and Ayala that's the problem? What do you think? That's just something I've observed. So Luke, coming on to you, who stood out for you today?
Like you said earlier on, to a man, really. But if I were to pick a couple out, I think Tribal was unlucky to go off and be the man that sort of had to make way after the red card. Thought he played well. Thought he actually took a position where he was quite commanding and did sort of the things that people don't necessarily want to do. He were cleaning up, he were making challenges, winning balls. I think it allowed Johnson to have a bit more freedom in there, and we saw a better Bradley Johnson today. We saw Bradley Johnson of maybe September when he was a bit more commanding, got on the ball, got forward a little bit more. So that was good. I think by them two having great games allowed Joe Rothwell just to have that freedom and have, like Joe said, a phenomenal performance from Joe Rothwell, really. I think when he moved to centre half later on, if we're talking about sort of different points in the game, Nyambe was absolutely solid for me. Doesn't really play centre half ever really for Rovers. I know he's played in a 3 for Namibia, and from what I believe, I'm not an expert on Namibian football, but I believe he's pretty solid when he plays in that 3. And today he was brilliant. Him and Ayala, like Jacob said, were phenomenal. Really putting their bodies on the line, winning most things in the air. I just think the ball just weren't dropping for Brentford in that latter stages, just because them two were absolutely solid, phenomenal. Ryan Nyambe for me. I think if we're in a position where we're going to be struggling for centre halves, I know right back isn't a position where we're particularly strong and got depth. So Nyambe's going to be there really, but he can absolutely fill in at centre half when we need him after that performance. Really strong performance. Buckley looked pretty good as well. Maybe for the goal he could have done a little bit better. That's where he showed his defensive naiveties, but just a makeshift back four. I've got to talk about that makeshift back four, because really none of them back four are going to be starting if you're going to be picking our strongest 11. And we came away, with conceding only 2 goals to what's usually a free scoring Brentford side, and won a point in front of fans as well. So they, you could say they had the upper hand there. So, phenomenal. Just there as well, Sam Gallagher. I've not got the wrong date on my calendar. I would have picked Nyambe to put up there, but he's not in the 2020 calendar, and I've had to go with November's Sam Gallagher because the running he did today, absolutely run himself into the ground, and fantastic performance from Sam Gallagher as well. He keeps letting Mowbray know that he's there, and it's his place to lose in this team.
Yeah. Just coming into the comments, just in relation to what you and Jacob have both said. So, Leap Year Man, Ayala needs to run a game, showed his experience today. FM works, Ayala was simply no nonsense defending today. Ollie James agreed Ayala was great today. Thank God he didn't score an own goal. Yeah, that was particularly nervy, wasn't it, in that stoppage time? These comments keep whizzing. There we go. Chris Hayes, Ayala seemed to become a real leader today. He didn't stop organising and shouting. Brilliant performance. And then Andy Watson, no coincidence, Ryan. Ayala and Lenihan isn't a partnership yet. Had that concern from Ayala signing, too similar. Okay, so just, for my player, I'm going to say Sam Gallagher. And I think across all 3/3 of the game, actually, I thought Gallagher was pretty decent. I thought he started the game well from the first minute. Set up that chance for Joe Rothwell, was dealing with a really tricky customer in Rico Henry down that left side for the majority of the game. Yes, Henry got forward a little bit, but I also think that Gallagher was causing some problems in the other direction when we were with 11 men. And then, just Gallagher's contribution to that digging in defensive performance, leading the line well, really giving us an outlet when we were struggling. I've got to give Sam Gallagher some credit today. And sadly, these are the games where Gallagher might not get the credit that he deserves, and it'll be other games when people are scoring goals where they're going to get all the plaudits. I hope people remember this performance from Sam Gallagher today and how much he does love Rovers and how much he does dig in and want to play for the shirt. We've got to be proud of Gallagher today. So, Joe, I'm going to do things a little differently now and just combine who's not played well with a talking point. Darragh Lenihan and that incident with Ivan Toney. Do you want better from your captain in that type of position. What's your thoughts on it?
I don't know. It's really easy to be reactionary, isn't it, and say, "Oh, Lenihan," and I don't know. Is the really simple answer. I think that Daryl Lenihan is a very competent defender. I don't think anybody suits our right central back position better than him. I don't think anybody at the club or any supporters would say that he should be dropped. It's going to be a one-game ban. It is what it is. I think Ivan Toney probably scores it because he's banging form, just like you'd expect Adam Armstrong to score from there. So at the end of the day, he's got to try. It was six for one and half a dozen for the other. It was a bit of both. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and really heavily criticise him for it because I really don't think that. Well, you can't go through a season and not get a red card every now and again. Nobody attempts to get a red card, do they? Lewis Travis has had a red card before. I think has Ben Brereton been sent off before? I think he has. Players get sent off, and it's not purposeful. And yes, he's the club captain, and we can say, "Oh, we expect better," but things happen. Even Ryan Nyambe gets booked every now and again, so it is what it is.
Jacob, do you think that at the moment that ball is slipped through to Ivan Toney, Daryl Lenihan's in a no-win situation? Because if he doesn't put a challenge in and Ivan Toney scores, we're all slagging him off on this stream, and Rovers fans are slagging him off for not getting close to Toney. But he's made the decision to go for the challenge and try and stop him. From that point, he's getting a red card either way. It's either a second booking or a straight red. Doesn't matter. He's going off at that point. So do you think Lenihan had to go for the tackle in those circumstances, or would you like to have seen him just let Toney score? Where do you stand on it?
I mean, obviously, hindsight's a beautiful thing, innit? But I think he knew what he was doing. He knew it was cynical. He knew he weren't winning the ball. He did literally just chuck him to the ground, didn't he? And obviously, being on a yellow, he knew he weren't going to get away with it. I would have just so. Even as poor as the refs are in this division, he was never going to get away with it when he was already on a yellow, was he? So, he's the joint top goal scorer now, isn't he? So it's one of those, well, whether you do let him have the shot at Kaminsky. But Kaminsky's obviously, as we've seen this season, a great keeper. So in hindsight, you would say just let him have the shot because obviously he converts the penalty and then we've had to dig in with 10 men. He scores that goal and then it's 1-1 and we've got 11 men and we could have gone on to win it. But it's ifs and buts, isn't it? So we're just going to have to get on to the next game, and I'm just interested now who we are going to be playing at centre-back for the next game. We're really short choices, aren't we?
And Luke, there's a few comments in here. So Matt Hornby, soft penalty and never a red, should appeal it. Rovers won, brilliant performance today, not a pen. Tony's arm was on Dara. Ollie James, was it a straight red? I think a shocking decision. Second yellow, yes. Where are you on the penalty, Luke? Firstly, did you think it was a penalty, first and foremost? And then secondly, Lenihan's choice of decision at that point, what would you have done? And do you think he did the right thing?
I think it is his choice of decision that just lends itself to being a penalty. As soon as you go in for a challenge like that in the box, the referees, 9 times out of 10, they're giving a penalty there. So I don't think we can argue with that. At the time, I just thought it was a bit of a ludicrous thing for him to do. I'm thinking about it. I think what do I want my defenders to? I want them to go and try and win the ball. If he would have miraculously made a challenge, won that ball, and the ref hadn't given a penalty, we'd all be standing here now saying, "Oh, Daryl Lenihan, fantastic! He's a captain. He's putting his body on the line, and he's winning last ditch tackles like that." So I'm with Joe and sort of with Jacob as well on that. I don't know whether it's the right decision. I don't know whether I'd have wanted him to do anything differently in that situation. It's a very difficult one. Football's heart on the sleeve stuff, and I think you're always gonna in the heat of the moment try and win the ball and try and get your team out of a situation. And unfortunately, it could have cost us today, but it didn't. And we can look back on it and say now we've seen a Blackburn Rovers now on the back of that have filled us with a lot of pride. And actually, we could have been sat here now talking about what might have been, and we could have been absolutely, hammering Darrell Lenihan, but we've got to look at the flip side of it and what happened afterwards and kick on from that and use that to move forward a bit more positively, I think.
Yeah, and I'm with you three on the penalty. You've got the league's top goal scorer or second top goal scorer bearing down on goal. I want my captain trying to make the challenge first and foremost, so I'd be more annoyed if he didn't try and make it. And I think, he's mistimed it. I do think it should have been a second yellow rather than a straight red. I think the letter of the law is he's tried to make a genuine attempt to go for the ball and he's got it wrong. So I do think the straight red was harsh, but it's circumstantial, isn't it? It was a second yellow. Either way, so he was going to go at that point. Just going to dip into the comments before we move on. Fox, catch 22 for Dara. Tony knew what he was doing. Stand and stare. Sadly, definitely a penalty. Wrong decision made by Dara. And Alexander Haben, could he have blocked the shot? ? And then leap year man Kiefer Lenihan was not to give the ref a decision to make. We know the standard of refs is poor. So before we move on, Joe, I'm just going to let you know of a comment we've had here from Steve Mack. Joe, I lost my best mate, a big Rovers supporter, on Thursday. I read your article and got great comfort from it. Many thanks. So absolutely.
Yes,
all of us.
Steve Mack's a big friend of Ronnie Hill, and I think he's passing that on like I did. So yeah, smashing Joe. Thanks for that.
That's great. I'm glad that people can get something out of it. That's awesome.
Definitely. So this part of the show, we usually do talk about players that didn't play so well, but I just think with the way that the game went and the way it was affected by that red card, I think Lenihan is possibly the only real person we can talk about not playing so well, because I think the first third, Rovers were pretty excellent, and then the final 2/3 of the game has been clearly affected by the red card. So I'm not going to be digging people out or asking you to dig people out on this, because it doesn't need it, because we've played as well as we possibly could do under the circumstances, I think. So we're just going to unpick the talking points, I think, in a bit more detail and get into the 3/3 of the game. So Joe, I'm going to start with you. If we just talk about the first third of the game, Rovers started like a house on fire, didn't they? We had that Rothwell chance in the first minute and we really looked on it. We were impressed by the way that we started and really went for Brentford. Yeah. We did talk about that on the pre-match stream, didn't we? That we expected two sides to go for each other. Rovers were the first to engage with Brentford, weren't they? It was pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, no, we played really well. I was happy with the way we played. We played that box formation that I kind of alluded to before the game in the pre-match stream that I said we might do. So it was interesting to see us line up not in our normal 4-3-3. I liked it. I think it suits Rothwell big time. I'm not sure how much it suits Harvey Elliott, and he ended up kind of playing as the central striker for most of this game. And I don't really think that suits his skill set particularly well. But in general, I think the key thing is that, up until that penalty red card incident, I don't think anybody was missing Holtby. I don't think anybody sat there and said,
good point.
We really need Holtby today. So, when you're talking about, statistical analysis and saying, well, look at the way we won that ball back with Johnson and Tribal and Rothwell in midfield, it actually worked quite well. And I think it brought Gallagher into the game a lot more. It probably nullified Armstrong a little bit. And perhaps when we play that box formation, we're kind of saying, yeah, okay, that keeps Armstrong out of the game a little bit, but we can sacrifice him if that's going to help us play. So basically the way it is, if you split the pitch into thirds, the defensive third for Brentford is where we wanted them to have the ball. All of their possession in that defensive third was leading to chances for us. We were nicking it off them. They were passing it to us. When they reached that middle third, then we were in danger. As soon as they got there, then it was like, okay, now we're under some threat here. And obviously that's where the penalty came from as well. So on the few occasions that they did beat that trap, we looked in danger, and that's okay. Brentford are a really good side going forward, and I think we expected it. But we managed to keep them pinned into their own defensive half really well. And won the ball back off them, enough times to make that press worth it. And, going into next game and games after that, if we play like that every week, and if we play with that much desire and heart and effort and all of the things that we saw today, then, we'll keep winning football matches.
And Jacob, it was a pretty impressive first third of the game, and I think the only blot on that, so it's another talking point, injuries again. So Scott Wharton, I'm reading the quote here, Joe, that you've pasted for us. So Scott Wharton, it's his Achilles tendon. It's a pretty serious injury, I think. I'm not Jurgen Klopp, and I'm not going to complain, but it's a real shame. We hope it's not as serious as we first thought. So, Jacob, these injuries are just getting a bit ridiculous now for Rovers, aren't they? And I think that was the start of maybe Rovers' luck running out a little bit in that half, obviously leading to the penalty incident. How big a miss is Scott Wharton going to be for us? And secondly, how concerned are you getting about these injuries again?
Yeah, I think Scott's going to be a big miss, isn't he? He looked great again today, up until the injury, and obviously Barry Douglas got injured as well, didn't they? But no, we are looking really scarce now for centre backs, aren't we? I believe I've just read that Derek Williams should be back for Wednesday, so by the looks of things, it probably will be Derek Williams and Ayala, won't it? But it only takes another one of them to get injured, and then we're having to look at putting Nyambe there, or maybe calling McGlaw back. I know he's not on a big loan, is he? At where he's at. So no, it's really worrying. And we've talked about it before. Is it something on the training ground? Is it something to do with the physios? Cause it's just constant. It seems like I can't remember the last game we didn't pick up an injury during the game, and that's just a bit silly to think, isn't it? But it's no surprise, is it? We're playing twice a week, and we are going to be doing till January. So it's not our fault, but we're doing our best, and to get a result like that, despite having a back four come the end of the game that had a midfielder at right back, a right back at centre back who's played a handful of games this year, and Amari Bell. So no, I can't complain.
Oh dear. So just on the injuries, here we go. There was just a funny one that I saw about Barry Douglas. There we go. Ryan Lambert. Does Barry Douglas come with a warranty? Seems to get a not most games. And then Alexander Haben, gutted for Wharton, new January centre-back, ? So, Luke, I'm going to come to you. So, we've spoken about the penalty, so we don't need to go into that. So, we get to half-time. So, Mowbray said, I said to them at half-time that we need to stay in the game. They're a top side, a really difficult team, and they were favourites. We had to try and frustrate them and go down to go 2-1 down. We've seen that in the last few weeks. What happens is you get set at 2-1, and it's so easy to keep waiting. We got going, and they struggled to cope with our intensity. Before Rovers started coming into the game, we had that really wobbly spell, I thought, after half-time, where it looked like Brentford were going to score. Canos scored, and then you're thinking, oh, great, what's going to happen? How worried were you in that period of the game, 45 to 70 minutes? What were your thoughts about what the end result was going to be?
So at half-time, I'm sat there thinking that we could, if we just stuck behind the ball, fought out for a point, is what I'm thinking. That didn't happen when we come out. It were almost as if we were wide open. We were trying to do the basics. We were trying to make the ball stick and frustrate Brentford, but it just weren't happening. They were having way too much of the ball. They were getting a lot of space. And then obviously we saw Sergio Canos coming off the left hand side, cutting on Buckley and put the ball in, and you're thinking it's damage limitation now. And a few of the guys, Joe for example, were made a comment at that point is to damage limitation, take off our big boys, and then Mowbray did that. So Mowbray obviously brings off Armstrong, as the name one. You're thinking protect Armstrong, that's great. And we're looking at a point then where we're thinking, we're just going to sit this out. Let's hope that the numbers don't really embarrass us and just keep our players not injured and not banned for 1s and 3 games, and hope for the best. But I think at that point then we seemed to get the balance right. We looked like we were playing sort of a flat 4-4-1. Sitting in behind the ball and just trying to really frustrate, trying to limit the possession that Brentford were having in the attacking positions. And then when we got the ball, it would just work rate. I think it will just simple, basic work rate that got us the point in the end. Because when we got the ball, we seemed to then suddenly change this 4-2-3, and we seemed to actually want to get the point. There were a desire, like I say, there were a work rate, and I think the boys did Mowbray proud, and I think Mowbray got the basics right today, got the substitutions right, and I'd trust in the boys that were on the pitch to execute the plan, and the plan worked, relatively perfectly in the end, because we can't sit here and expect for anything more than a point. I thought we deserved a point, but a point is a very, very good result in them circumstances.
And on the work rate, for me, I think it was the work rate, can't even speak, from the front. So you've said it was the 4-4-1, and we kept changing who the one was. So sometimes it was Elliott, sometimes it was Gallagher, sometimes it was Dolan. And the three of them, I'd love to see the stats on them today. The amount of chasing that they've done, even someone like Dolan has probably come in and absolutely ran himself into the ground. And it all starts from there, doesn't it? Just, that centre-back's not got that little bit of time to start picking passes and starting moves. It really does make a difference. And Dolan in particular was just sprinting around, even in stoppage time when it's 2-2. He's harassing the right back. It was just excellent to see from everyone. And we really did lead it from the front.
I think he won the header for the goal, did he, as well? Is that right,
he did.
Dolan?
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he's everywhere, winning headers at his height.
He'll take an assist there as well, which takes him to something like 3 goals, 4 assists, and I think his goal involvement to minute ratio will be the best in the Championship now. I think, or impressive. One of these when you percentage it down. Anyway, it's really impressive.
So we're going to come on to the final third of the game in a moment. I'm just going to go back into the comments. So Lee B 1989. So just a quick answer from all of us. Quick reply. No red card. What's the result? I would go with a win. We looked the better team prior. So Joe, do you think we would have won that game without that red card?
Yeah, probably 3-1.
Jacob?
Yeah, I think I have to agree. Probably, a 3-1 or something like that. We did look dominant. There's no denying that.
Luke?
Yeah, absolutely. We were impressive. We started well, and Mowbray's plan seemed to be working, but for the red card. So I thought we'd have got the win there. We look good.
Yeah, and it's a full house from me. I think we look really impressive. We look back on it, particularly after the previous 2 games where we didn't quite look ourselves. We looked absolutely on it today before that red card. So Lee, that's a full house from everyone. And then just a couple of other comments, including one really interesting one as well. So Leap Year Man has made the point, we keep having to throw players coming back from injury straight in rather than easing them back. So that's a really fair point. Foxer says, when will our luck with injuries change? Recovery isn't working. And then there's another really interesting comment from Lee B 1989 here. Cedric Kipper, half-season loan incoming. Now, clearly Mowbray likes him, and he's not playing at West Brom, is he? So, Rovers fans in the comments, would you take Kipper on loan for the rest of the season, first and foremost? I'm going to ask the panel, quick answers again. Joe, if we need to dip into the loan market, would you take Kipper?
No. He chose West Brom. He made that decision. It was a silly decision at the time. I think he's still to start a game for him. Absolute muppet. And no, I wouldn't have him here. I'd sue him if he came here. He chose to go to the Midlands. That was his choice, and it was a silly one, and he needs to live with that decision. I'd sooner see just give some minutes to Hayden Carter. Lenihan's going to miss 1 game, not 3. We'll be fine. We've got Williams coming back imminently. If it's not the next game, it'll be the one after. Ayala should be okay. Nyambe can fill in at centre-back. I would much rather us go and loan a player who can fill positions in other areas, maybe a right-back, maybe somebody to score us a few more goals if Armstrong picks up a knock or something. To be honest, I'd just rather us get players down to contract rather than spend however much on the Premier League wages of a loan player like that. But that's my opinion.
But if Wharton is out for the season, you do agree with the need to possibly dip into the loan market and get someone?
Maybe. Difficult one, because you've got... Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't spend the money that Kipre would cost on a Premier League wage. Too much. We can't afford that. I'd rather us spend that on contracts.
Yeah.
No,
Jacob?
I think in particular, centre-backs, one of the positions that we don't have a lot of depth in this season. You know, we've seen that at times, and in my opinion, I'm not sure whether Joe was saying a bit of that in tongue in cheek, but I wouldn't mumble if we took Kipre. We know he can play at this level. He did that in a Paul Wigan side, and you know, if we were to get him on a half loan, I'm not sure how much of his wages we would be paying, but I mean, he'd get in the team, wouldn't he, right now? And after the performance we saw from Hayden Carter the other night, where he cost us that goal against Barnsley and looked really shaky, and it was just nervy for everyone as soon as he come on. I would not want to be having him come on. So if we've lost Wharton for the rest of the season, that leaves Daniel Ayala, who we know is injury prone. That leaves Derek Williams, who's rather injury prone, and Darragh Lenihan. So obviously he's going to be out now with this ban. So we definitely need another one, in my opinion, or we need to recall McGlaw. But even then, McGlaw's not had really any experience, so that's chucking him at the deep end as well. So I wouldn't mumble at all if we got him on a loan, Kipre.
Luke, where are you?
No. For me, I want a footballer that's going to play for the shirt, and I don't agree that Kipre will do that. I think if Kipre was passionate about Blackburn Rovers Football Club and was sort of, I don't know, engaged in Mowbray's vision and where Mowbray wants to take this football club, he'd have signed up for the project in the summer, and he didn't do that. He went for money. And he must have known that there were, you know, it would have been tough. I'm sure Mowbray had a chat with him in the summer and said, "Look, this is where I see you. You're going to be starting for Blackburn Rovers Football Club. We're looking at getting back in the Premier League. Be patient with this project. It's, you know, we're going places." But instead, he's just gone to West Brom, and he's probably been told, you know, we're building a squad here. You're being in and out of the team, and he's probably thought, you know, that's great. I'm sure he's got confidence in his own ability, the lad, but he's been given a check, and he's gone for it. I agree with what Jacob's saying. We probably do need some reinforcements, given how this is going with the COVID situation, and certainly with all these injuries that are coming in, we could be in a position where we find ourselves really scarce. I feel like we're in that position now. I haven't done my homework on centre half, so I'm not going to sit here and start, you know, throwing names into the hat. But I'm sure Mowbray will look at centre halves that are available, and I'm sure there'll be people out there that are willing to, you know, to put the body on the line for Blackburn Rovers Football Club.
I'd agree with that comment there, by the way, from Tim Dio. I'd rather have a right back come in, maybe not even permanent. I think, you know, you can always get on the phone to Chelsea and they'll have a couple of young right backs in the team, won't they? And 23s who are competent enough to fill in and going to be big players in the future that you could loan in much cheaper and fill a different player in at centre half. There's loads of options. I mean, people are throwing names around in the comments, but I also like that comment from Stand and Stare. Better rumbling horse. You know, I agree with that as well. I don't know about whether we could actually get Phil Jones. I think that might be a little bit extreme. I don't think he would come particularly cheap either. But again, we might dip into that European market. You know, I'm sure there's some players with their contracts ending within the next 7 months that we might pick up from Europe. So who knows?
I'm sure Mowbray sees that as well.
So Lee, thank
situation.
you for that.
Sorry, no, I was just saying, I'm sure Mowbray sees the right back situation because he's been looking in the past that, you know, it's the Chelsea link that that got me going. Then, like your Tariq Lampteys and your Reece Jameses. So I think he knows that that's a position that he needs reinforcements, and then we can, like, send Niambi's a reliable fill in there.
Yeah. So Lee, thank you for that question, because you've triggered a real divide, I think, in the Rovers fans. Just to give you my 2 pence worth, I wouldn't be looking at Kipre because I'm looking at the fact that Wharton, before the season started, was our 4th choice centre-back, and it's only through him playing in the way that he has, he's bumped himself up there. We've still got Ayala, Lenihan and Williams, who are going to be the 3 in front. And then if Nyambi is the one who can fill in as a 4th, yes, I'd like us to explore right-back as well. And at the start of this show, we spoke about, or on the pre-match actually we spoke about where Rovers has now positioned ourselves as a club. we're a club where youngsters can go and get some game time, be trusted with Tony Mowbray, and that's the avenue that we could possibly go down. So if we get to the end of the window and it's Kipper or no one, then yeah, maybe take him under those circumstances. But I'd really like us to explore the other options first. But cracking question, Lee B. That was a really good one. So, Joe, we're going to move on to the final third of the game. So we've spoken about our pride and how Rovers dug in and we hung on at 2-1 and we've set up this opportunity. Brentford had a couple of chances. I think De Silva hit a couple wide and then there might have been another one. But are you feeling the same as I do, that Brentford just started to ease off and maybe it was a feeling of we've got the job done, Rovers aren't going to hurt us, and they just, something seemed to change. Like, I don't know, it gave us an opportunity. And I think Neil said it in the commentary on iFollow that you could noticeably see when Rico Henry went off, it's like Rovers went, right, there's a chance for us here. Did you notice that as well?
I don't know whether it was because he'd gone off. I think it was always the plan that we would try and get to 85 and then say, right, you know, I can't say that because that's rude. What's the word? Something to it, you know, beginning with a B. And go for it for the last 5 minutes. I think that was always the plan, especially with your Dolans on the pitch. But to get that second goal, I mean, I've just had a look at the table. We've scored 31 goals now this season. It is incredible. 31 goals. It's more than 2 a game, isn't it? Or just about 2 goals a game on average, which is just insane. I mean, we've gone to Brentford today with basically, by the end of the match, that's barely a third choice side out, isn't it? Barely. Just about third choice with somebody like Buckley at right back, Nyambe filling in centre back, Bell, Ayala, nobody wants that. You've got Davenport on, Dolan on, no Armstrong, no Dak, no Travis. You know, I mean, and we've still scored 2 goals and somehow got a point. 31 goals this season. It's just incredible. Just really happy with it. And I didn't expect us to get that goal, but we did. And wow, amazing.
And Jacob, you know, football is full of cliches, and they always say that 1-0 is a dangerous lead, or the game's never over at 1-0. Obviously, this game was 2-1. There's only a goal in it. You know, Rovers gave themselves the chance, didn't they? We dug in there at the back. Brentford, you know, started to ease off a little bit and weren't having the chances. Fair play to Rovers for exploiting that situation and taking that one golden chance that came their way.
Yeah, like the commentators were saying the entire time, we will get one chance in that second half, and we took it. That's all we can say, really, isn't it? I mean, I had a look at the stats after the game. They had 16 shots, and I believe it was only 3 on target. And to be 10 men for 90%, well, not 90% of the game, for more than 45 minutes of the game, and limit Brentford, who we know are quality attacking, to 3 shots on target from 16. That just shows that we were forcing them into positions where they were shooting from range. And I think it was De Silva or something like that. He had 2 shots in the space of like 2 or 3 minutes, but were just high and wide. And that was, I think they were getting frustrated that we were just forcing them into those positions and they're just going for goal. And thankfully they were nowhere near, but no, it was brilliant. And you know, Davenport's come on. He's been a bit part player this season, and he's took his 2 chances in the 2 games. He's featured cameos in, and he's got a goal today and against Preston. I think a lot of the fans were saying he was brilliant as well. So he's another one, just like Scott Wharton, who could force his way into this team if carries on playing the way he is, and I hope he does, because we've had him for a while now, and you know, he's starting to show what he's about.
And Luke, Joe's mentioned you know, the game plan was get to 85 minutes and then there'll be a golden opportunity, and that's the key to it, isn't it? So for the goal, you could visibly see that we pressed really high up the pitch. We had lots of bodies up there. Bradley Johnson was nearly on the edge of their box as well. We had quite a lot of men up there. It's fallen for us, hasn't it? You know, Dolan has somehow won a header. It's dropped to Davenport. It's taken a little nick, I think, as well. You create your own look in football, don't you, first and foremost? And then secondly, how pleased are you for Jacob Davenport to make that type of contribution after the last 2 years that he's had?
Yeah, I mean, you look at that goal, and it's important for so many reasons. It's important for Tyrese, I think, because he has been, he's been fairly quiet. He had an electric start, and then he's come off the bench today. He's had that involvement, and he's giving Mowbray another headache. Obviously, Davenport's got that goal, which, like you say, it's massive for him. He's been out with injuries so much. He must be sitting at home sometimes. Or on the injury, on the plinth in the physio room, just thinking, when am I going to get my break? It was so highly sought after. You speak to people in and around, the City Academy and how highly thought of they were there. And injuries have really, really let him down. He had that season at Burton where that seemed to be where we took him from and thought this guy's got something, and he's just had no luck at Rovers. So I think that's going to be a massive, massive boost for him. And the goal in itself, like I said, we've already had John Jacob slip up and say win, because it's so big. It feels like a win. And we're going into games now against Bristol City and Norwich. Bristol City are just above us. Norwich are leading this table. If we can somehow miraculously take that positivity and take that belief now into them two games and come away with 4 or 6 points, we've then got 5 really, really winnable games after that. And I don't want to jinx it, but after this run, the points that we've picked up previously, I know when we were looking at the sort of 12 games leading up to the new year, we weren't looking really for points in them games. We were looking for a strong finish, and we've really put ourselves in a good footing now. Let's see if what we can get out of these 2 games with this, positivity and this belief that we're taking from this late point, and then anything's possible in them 5 games. A strong finish for the end of 2020, and we're looking at then the new year being one that we can kick on from. So. Yeah, massive goal for Davenport, massive goal for the team and for Mowbray moving into these, a pretty hectic run of fixtures. It never ends, does it?
No, it doesn't. And Joe, if we do a little nod to the next game, I believe it's on Wednesday night, isn't it? Which, talk about a little stroke of luck for us. There's going to be some aching legs after today's game, isn't there? So that extra day's recovery, first and foremost, could prove crucial. Have you got any concerns about the fact that we've had to play a big portion of this game with 10 men today, some of the injuries that we're carrying? Have you got any concerns going into that Bristol City game?
Well, I'm happy. I mean, obviously you 3 will know, because we have a little group chat for all the contributors for Rovers Chat. I was desperate for Armstrong, Rothwell, Elliott, those types to get off the pitch, not just because you want to give up on that game, and I'm so glad that we did get a point, but more because, you can just see those injuries coming with the luck we've got at the minute. Luckily, they came off, so, Armstrong has not played a full 90, so he'll be fit and ready to go. Same for Rothwell, who I think he's basically made himself the second most important player in the team now that Brereton's injured. No Kaminsky worries, Nyambe should be fine, hopefully Douglas will be fine. We might have Williams back. Ayala will get a chance in his right central back position and should play well there. Johnson got through and played well. Tribal came off, only did half a game, so he'll be fit and ready to go. In general, Tony Mowbray will be so happy because he's managed it perfectly, because he got the players off, managed to rest the players he wanted to, and now we head into the next couple of games with only really Wharton as the main casualty, as the only stress. I mean, we've got Bristol City next. They've lost today. Against a really poor Birmingham side. And sorry to Jacob Crook, if he's listening, who is a big Birmingham fan. They've had a terrible year. Karanka is not doing well there, and they've scraped a win. But Bristol City have lost, and Norwich recently, we've got on the Saturday after that, have just lost to Luton quite recently, 3-1. So I do think, 4 points from the next 2, a win, we could be in the playoffs come Wednesday. It's not today to Wednesday that I worry about. It's that Wednesday to Saturday recovery, that really short turnaround where we're going to have to worry a little bit. But luckily, again, I think if we can get something on Wednesday, that Norwich game, just like today, for me, becomes a bit of a free hit again, where we can go for it. And yeah, if Johnson picks up a knock on Wednesday, well, give Davenport a game then, So yeah, that's how I'm seeing it, and I'm just happy, excited, hopeful.
We spoke about in the pre-match stream, I think, before the Luton game, how many points we would all take from the next 12. And I think most of the comments were coming in around 24 points. So we've played 5 games. That's 11 points from 5 games. So that's 7 to go. So we're probably looking like we need, another, what's that? I do the maths, 13 points from 7 games. That's a few more wins, a few more draws, and we could probably afford the odd loss in there as well. So, it's a good run rate that we're on at the moment to get those 24 points. So, I think you're right, Joe. If we can get 4 points maybe from the next 2, that's an excellent return. But even if it's only 2 points, 3 draws against these 3 sides, that's also not a bad return. And the key is, we're drawing against rivals in and around us. That's the important thing. They're not winning and going further away from us.
Well, we would leapfrog Bristol City if we managed to beat them on Wednesday, which, again, big rival. I think they're on 27, we're on 25. So, yeah, I agree.
And Jacob, after today's result, regardless of how much lactic acid is in the legs and things like that, it is going to feel like a win. You and Joe have both said it's going to feel like a win. And we've got a tweet here from Elliot Bennett, haven't we, in terms of what it means to the squad. They're going to be absolutely buzzing going into the next game against Bristol City, aren't they? Are you expecting Rovers just to pick that up and go again at Bristol City? What are you expecting on Wednesday night?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I feel like this, like I've already said, I feel like this is our best result this season. I don't think anyone can deny that. I think everyone would have took a point today with 11 men, never mind 10. So I think after today's game, you go into that Wednesday game filled with confidence. Like Joe's mentioned, the only worry will be that we don't have Scott Wharton, but we should have Derek Williams back. And other than that, it's a strong side we're putting out. And like Joe's already mentioned, great management by Tony Mowbray. Some people were saying in the comments when we kicked off that it was negative and this and that we took Armstrong and Rothwell off and he was throwing the game away. But I think you have to put it into context, the position we were in and, where we are, who we're playing. We're 10 men away from home. And no, I can't agree with that. And it's great management today. Like's already been mentioned, Bristol have just lost to the poor Birmingham side, so they will want to bounce back. But there's no reason why at home we should be beating Bristol on Wednesday. And they're not a team that's going to come to Ewood and sit back, what we struggle with. They should come and give us a proper game. And if they do give us a proper game, and there's no reason why we can't win, in my opinion.
I'll tell you why I don't agree with the view that it wasn't good management from Mowbray. These 5 names that came on, Ayala, Buckley, Bell, Dolan, Davenport, all made an impact. And they've all made an impact because of the squad that Mowbray has built and his approach to the man management within the squad, the ethos that he's built within the squad, the work ethic that he's built in the squad. All these players are coming on and they want to play their role for the team. So that's why it's good management, because he recognises where that game is at that point and knows that these lads will go and do a job. And look what we've said about Tyrese Dolan. He's put in just as much legwork as Adam Armstrong would have done up there. Look at Jacob Davenport. He's put in just as much legwork and got a goal, just as Joe Rothwell did today. So I think it's excellent management from Mowbray, and I think he's reaping the rewards of those foundations that he's put in within that squad now. So, I just don't share the view that it was a negative situation from Mowbray today. I think he's spot on, Jacob. He recognised where the game was at and he did what he had to do. So, Luke, in terms of the Bristol City game then, how do you think Mowbray will approach it? We do sometimes struggle at Ewood Park. We are carrying a few more injuries now.
We're away, mate.
Yeah, it's away. It's Ashton Gate, this one.
Sorry,
Away.
away.
Sorry.
Yeah, I meant away as well. So away, so even tougher. So leggy, tiring legs, injuries in the squad. How do you think we're going to approach it? What do you think we're going to try and do at Bristol City? Play for a draw, maybe? Contain? What can you see?
And I think this is a Bristol City side it's going to be low on confidence after the defeat today. As Joe said, they've been a pretty poor side. It's going to be a level playing field, because I think if I'm right on this. I think they're in Tier 3 as well, so I don't think there's any fans at Bristol.
They are in Tier 3, yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, yeah. So level playing field in that respect. And, well, I mean, you say that, it can have a negative effect, fans, can't it? You only need to look at the abysmal scenes at Millwall today and see what fans, you know, the negative impact fans can have as well. I don't think any Millwall player wanted to hear that, what happened at the start of the game. So
no, and I'm really glad they lost that game as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking.
Disgraceful. So it's worth saying that. And I mean, you look at Brentford today, actually, they look nervy in front of fans. We started so lively, and then Brentford players look really flat-footed to begin with them. Whether fans impact that, I don't know. So yeah, more on the game. I think Mowbray's got this system now, and it just seems to be working, doesn't it? I don't think he's going to shy away from that. Like you said, like Joe said, the players that we've got available now and fit and up for this, they've come off. You likes of Joe Rothwell and Adam Armstrong, they're not going to want to come off today. They've come off for a bigger picture, and they're going to be raring to go Wednesday. You've got likes of Davenport that are chipping in now and staking claims for places. So that's meaning your Tribals, your Rothwells are going to step up. They're not going to want to lose their place in this team, not when it's thriving and not when they've got the opportunity to make a name for themselves. So I think Bristol City will be an exciting game for us. Get some points there and get some confidence going into a very, very difficult game against Norwich, who are another good side. I don't think there's any easy games in this division.
So Rovers fans, we'll probably end the stream in about 5 or so minutes. So if there's a question that you want to ask us, or you feel something that we've not covered in the game, please do hit it in the comments. I'm just going to rattle through quite a few of these, Jacob. So I'm just going to whiz a little bit up to the top. So Stand and Stare, so pleased for Davenport. He's worked hard for this. Autumn Penkridge, 7 Rovers players were pressing that Brentford throw-in. Yeah, that's what I noticed as well, Autumn. That we'd visibly gone up there just before that equaliser. So that was good to see. Tim Dio, we head into 2021 with Travis, Dak, Brereton all coming back. Yeah, it's scary, some of the players who aren't playing in this team at the moment. Stephen Mason, I would take 2 draws now from the games that we've spoken about, Bristol City away and Norwich at home. Matt Hornby, how's Dave tonight from Besotted, Ryan? I'll need to ask him. I did predict 2-2 to him, so he's obviously going to be gutted with that, isn't he? Chris Hayes, massive goal for Rothwell. That'll do his confidence the world of good. Stephen Mason, well done, Tony. FM Works, he tactically got it right to not get smashed. Ryan Lambert, tired legs, no excuse for me. Every team in the Championship in the same boat. They are, Ryan. I just think ours are going to be a little bit more tired after playing with 10 men and the sheer work that we put in today. But as I think someone has pointed out, sorry, it was yourself, Ryan, as you pointed out, our strength in depth should help us no end. No Holtby at all today. So as much as there are tired legs, we've got a Lewis Holtby coming in today that hasn't played any minutes today. So that's good. Michael Pearson, I disagree with the spirit of the changes that Mowbray made, but it's worked out well for all of the replacements. Stephen Mason, let's go at them. Kevin Bradshaw, what happened at Millwall, as I missed that? So I saw the clip, Kevin. There was the Black Lives Matter kneel as normal before the games, and there were Millwall fans booing that, which is obviously...
There was a small section of Millwall fans that didn't boo. I think it was the majority of Millwall fans that did boo, and it's quite disgraceful, really, for the club. And I'm sure they'll come out and condemn it.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Reminds me of the Burnley incident last season. That actually.
Yeah. Stand and Stare question: what effect did the 2K crowd make today? Either way, what difference in future games? So a quick response from me, and I'll invite the other guys just to come in as they want to. I do think the 2K crowd possibly helped with that penalty decision and card for Lenihan today. I really do. So I think it's had that type of impact. Apart from that Stand and Stare, I don't think it's made too much more difference because I've not really felt Brentford batter us for the whole game, particularly when we've had the red card. They had the little spell between their 2 goals where I was a bit nervous, but It wasn't like games where, you're absolutely sucking that ball into the net when you're playing against 10 men. I don't think they really helped their side today, if I'm being honest. Luke, Joe, Jacob, how do you think it went?
Yeah, agreed, mate. Agreed.
Yeah, I believe the ref pulled the card out quite late, didn't he? And that was after the chance of off. And if there is no fans there, is it a red? Is it a second yellow? I guess that's ifs and buts. But I think the fans could have a bit of a difference in games like games like we've had at Watford away this season where they played so negatively. I don't feel like teams are going to be doing that in front of fans. I feel like maybe Brentford could have played a bit more negative than they really wanted to because the fans are there and it's their first game back and stuff like that. They could have quite easily just passed it round the box for a lot longer than they did.
Gaz Israel, surely you've got to go into the Bristol City game with the same mentality as we started the game today. Take the game to them, fast attacking football. And Gaz, I think that Luke's made that point, hasn't he? That Mowbray's got the system, got the formation now, and that is probably how we're going to play. So I think Luke and yourself are absolutely right that we're probably not going to change our approach. Fraser Kirky, Nyambi and Rothwell contracts, please. Yeah, I'm nervous about not just those two, but a whole host of contracts, Fraser. So we certainly need those signing. Callum P, sorry, already been discussed. Come the Bristol game, if there's no Williams, who plays in centre-back? I'll do a quick straw poll around the panel again. I'm assuming it will be Ayala and Nyambi again, and probably Buckley at right-back or Dan Pike at right-back. Luke, Joe, Jacob, do you think anything different?
I think there might... I'm not saying it will happen. There's a possibility that because he's quite competent on his right foot, that they could put Douglas at right back and play Bell at left back. Maybe Dan Pike, as you mentioned. I know people aren't huge fans of him, but Hayden Carter started some games last season. He could just put Hayden Carter in. That would be probably a less convoluted fix if he wants to put Nyambe in the side at right back, than bringing in a Dan Pike or swapping players around. So, yeah, maybe that.
I just wonder, I'm not sure because of Downing today, the Downing decision. I don't know whether Downing could fill in at right back for me. Even Tom Tribal, I was a bit... Yeah,
good shout that, Luke.
I didn't understand why they brought Tom Tribal off at that point and put Buckley in such a difficult predicament. I thought it's a very tough game for Buckley to just come into. I know someone in the chat earlier said that he did start as a right back, so maybe that's the thinking. But yeah, difficult game for Buckley to come into. I thought Tribal could have done a job there, Tribal or Johnson, but obviously they're not fancied in that position. So I think if Nyambe is to go centre half, then it probably is like a Dan Pike. But I think we have players that could fill in there if Mowbray takes the 3 days before the game and plans for it.
Personally, I wouldn't be putting Buckley back in there. I know obviously he's been chucked in at the deep end, but he did get shown up for that second goal. There's no doubt about that. It weren't great, were it? But I do think a Tom Tribal could do a better job there. Didn't really understand it either, Luke, but I guess whether it was just a matter of fresh legs because he knew we were going to be run ragged that second half. But no, I don't think Buckley has the physique or the defensive mindset to play there for me.
So we will finish the stream in a moment. I'll just get the final comments that everyone has said here. Michael Pearson, crowd didn't look that distant, 6 sitting next to each other. Yeah, I found that quite bizarre, Michael. Yeah. And I was expecting fans to be behind each goal as well. So I'm not sure what they're doing with the spacing of fans and things. Whether when they get to 4,000, they'll go behind the goals, I don't know. But I did find that a bit odd. Matt Hornby, I think it's more pressure on them, especially in a new ground too. Yeah, there was possibly a bit of that today. Ryan Lambert, more concerning is how the 2K might impact Rovers at Ewood. It's been nice without the boo crew. Michael Pearson, fans and shouts will influence. Just on that, just a completely random thing that I noticed in the first half when I think Sam Gallagher took a heavy challenge from Rico Henry in the first half. You could definitely hear the fans shouting at Gallagher like, get up, get up. Players haven't had to deal with that for the last few months. So, it is going to affect the players, certainly. Tim Young, Kaminsky, or Raya. I'm saying Kaminsky. He's our keeper.
Kaminsky.
I just love him. He's
Kaminsky
great.
hands down.
Absolutely. Leap year man, we won't have a chance of making playoffs if we go to places setting up for a draw. Yeah, I just think now leap year man, that is not Mowbray's style. We play our way now and we've got to go for sides. So I agree with that. Tony Joe Bren, have you lads sorted your contracts out? No, we are still in negotiations. Joe keeps flirting with the BBC for a start.
Yeah.
So we've offered him 2 extra beers at Christmas.
I'm
but
the kippery now, aren't I? If I take that Premier League offer, I'll come calling back in January.
And Chris Hayes, we'll finish with your comment. Downing right back, which I know, Luke, you made the case for. Downing, possibly a bit like a James Milner type who will just do a solid job for us at right back. So it might be Downing at right back. So we will call it a day there, guys. Joe, Luke and Jacob, thanks for joining us again.
No problem.
Yeah, and Rovers fans, it was a kissing
You beauty, you beauty.
Rovers fans, quite a lot of us predicted 2-2. I'm just going to blow my own trumpet. I did, and got 3 of the scorers right in the Rovers Chat Predictions League as well.
Armstrong, 10 million.
Steady. But it was certainly not the game that we were expecting. I thought it was going to be 90 minutes of fast-flowing action like we got in that first half, but it didn't turn out like that. But we'll take 2-2. We're proud of the boys. We're proud of Rovers. They've dug in and they've set the next few games up nicely. So enjoy your Saturday evenings, Rovers fans. Get the beers on the go. It's 6 games unbeaten now, 7 games unbeaten maybe. So we've got every reason to be happy. So enjoy your evenings and see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye
The
all.
Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description.